I came to in a hospital bed with a headache that felt like a construction crew was renovating my skull. Good news, it was alive. Bad news, I seem to be missing a few crucial gigabytes of memory, including the fact that I'd apparently been married for the last 6 months. My wife, according to the doctor, was an Ice Queen CEO, and now she was leaning over me, her voice a low purr. Honey, you always insist on holding me when we sleep. And you know our rule. Every week is Shark Week, and we always go for at least 2.5 hours. I looked down at my own decidedly average physique. 2.5 minutes, maybe 2.5 hours? You'd wear a man down to a nub. So, to summarize, I said, looking at the doctor who was trying to blend into the wall last night during some strenuous activity, I slammed my head on the headboard, which is why I have partial amnesia. The doctor just sort of shuffled his feet. That's the gist of it, he mumbled. Already told him once, said a cool voice. Standing by the bed was a woman who had to be at least 5'9", impossibly elegant. She'd introduced herself as Isabel Sterling. Just her presence seemed to drop the room temperature by 10 degrees. She radiated a kind of untouchable, aristocratic frost that made it hard to picture her as the wildcat the doctor's report implied. What I did remember was a strategic alliance, a merger of our two family companies 6 months ago, sealed with a wedding. After the ceremony, Isabel had made her position perfectly clear. I will never be with a man I don't love, she'd said, her voice like cracking ice. So how the hell did I end up as her husband, in the hospital after a night of earth-shattering passion? I tried to dig deeper into my memory, but a sharp pain shot through my temples. I sucked in a breath, my face twisting. A flicker of something crossed Isabel's face. The glacial facade cracked for a second. She clicked across the room in her heels and put a hand on my arm. Ethan, what's wrong? Are you in pain? Shall I get the doctor? That one word, Ethan, spoken with such concern, sent a weird chill down my spine. My head was hurting, I said. Then you call me that. And it got worse. Isabel's expression tightened. She held up her right hand. We really are married. Look, a simple, elegant wedding band sat on her ring finger. I lifted my own left hand. A matching ring stared back at me. I still couldn't buy it. A woman who looked like she could freeze hell over. Married to me? I pointed to my own face. You and me? We, to the point where I ended up in the ER. My ears burned. The young female doctor coughed and made a hasty exit. Isabel nodded, a faint blush on her cheeks. It's my fault. I was on a business trip for 2 weeks. I guess I lost control when I got back. I swallowed hard. So I really, with you. I made a fist with both hands, thumbs sticking up, and bumped them together. Her blush deepened as she gave a firm nod. The bedroom is a war zone. There's a torn Balenciaga dress and an empty bottle of Cabernet. You'll see when you get home. Looking at her slender, willowy frame, a thought crossed my mind. Was I just that out of shape? She seemed to read my mind. Oh no, honey, you're a beast. Am I? I muttered, trying to keep a straight face. I'm just worried I can't keep up with you, she said with a tiny, almost imperceptible smile. Okay, this conversation was getting weird. After a few more tests, my impossibly gorgeous CEO wife handled my discharge papers. Her Maybach purred to a stop in front of a massive modern mansion that looked like it belonged on the cover of a magazine. I reached for the door handle. Don't move. The sharp command froze me. I turned to see Isabel jogging around the front of the car, her expression severe. Okay, I thought, no audience, no act. But then she did something I didn't expect. She opened my door, slid my arm over her shoulder, and supported me as I got out. I quickly found my footing, but the gesture was confusing. In my fragmented memory, Isabel Sterling avoided physical contact like it was the plague. She rarely even looked at me. But now, I was leaning against her, close enough to see the simple diamond studs in her ears and the flawless skin on her neck. A faint scent of gardenia drifted up, intoxicating and dizzying. My heart started doing a drum solo against my ribs. I had to mentally recite the Pledge of Allegiance to keep myself from doing something stupid. A housekeeper opened the front door, and Isabel guided me inside. At the bottom of the grand staircase, she stopped. In that same frosty, imperious tone, she said the warmest thing I'd ever heard from her. Put your arm around my waist. The master bedroom looked like a rock band had thrown an after-party in it. A cleaning crew was halfway through restoring order, but the evidence of chaos was everywhere. An empty Cabernet bottle lay on its side on a plush white rug, surrounded by a dark red splash zone. One half of a ripped black dress was draped over a vanity mirror. The other half was snagged on the chandelier, swaying gently in the breeze from the air vent. "Now do you believe me?" Isabel murmured, her arm linked with mine. "Honey." I shivered and gently pulled my hand away. Any more of this, and I was going to have a heart attack. I think I should go to my parents' place. She shook her head, her expression softening. "It's late. Let's not wake them. I'll take you to see them tomorrow, okay?" The old Isabel wouldn't have given a damn about my parents. This new version was the perfect, considerate daughter-in-law. My back was starting to ache. I pointed to the king-size bed. "You can sleep here. I'll take the guest room." She looked at me like I'd just suggested setting the house on fire. "Absolutely not. We've slept in the same bed every single night for 6 months. We never sleep apart." The housekeeper, who was dusting nearby, dropped her feather duster with a clatter. The butler, a man who had to be in his late 50s, moved with the speed of a ninja, grabbing her by the arm and hustling her out of the room. Isabel rested her head on my collarbone. "I've had terrible insomnia for years," she whispered. "I can only fall asleep when I'm holding my husband." Halfway down the hall, the butler's foot slipped, and he went down into a full, shocking front split. He hobbled away, supported by the housekeeper. I looked at Isabel skeptically. "Listen, miss, call me your wife." She pouted, her lower lip trembling. "If you're so formal with me, I might just cry." I was speechless. "Do you remember the first time we met?" she asked softly. Her question unlocked a memory buried under layers of dust. It was at my first solo art exhibition in a gallery in Chelsea. She'd walked in, looked at the walls covered in my oil paintings, and her lip had curled in faint disapproval. I, oblivious, had launched into my spiel. Graduated top of my class at RISD, won the National Collegiate Art Prize. Before I could finish, she took a half step back. "I'm looking for a partner with business acumen," she said, her voice chilled. "Someone who can help me run an empire. Not an artist." Back then, I was young and arrogant. I knew you couldn't force love, but damn, she was stunning. The 9-to-5 model proportions, the Mercedes G-Wagon she drove. No man would give up that easily. My strategy was simple. Be shameless. A few months after that disastrous first date, I tried calling her babe. She'd radiated a cold that could give a polar bear hypothermia. "Don't call me that. We're not familiar." Then she'd added, "And in public, you will refer to me as Ms. Sterling." I'd categorized her moods into 3 levels of freezing. Level 1 was frostbite. Level 2, hypothermia. Level 3 was a one-way ticket to the Arctic Circle. She kept everyone at 1,000-foot distance. And now, she knelt slightly, wrapping her arms around my waist and looking up at me, her voice a syrupy, sweet plea. "Honey, please sleep with me tonight. You just got out of the hospital. I'm worried about you being alone. Please? For me." Damn it. Even a saint would crack. I swallowed. "Okay." When I got out of the shower, the sight that greeted me was stunning. I can't describe it in too much detail, but imagine a Greek goddess in the most exquisite, ridiculously expensive gray lingerie, lounging against the headboard, scrolling on a tablet. I hadn't noticed during the day, but wow, my jaw went slack. I think I might have drooled a little. This woman was my wife. As if she had eyes in the back of her head, Isabel turned and smiled at me. "There's more where that came from." I quickly wiped my chin. "Ahem, why are you wearing that to bed?" She leaned back. "It was your rule, remember?" I was completely lost. "What rule?" "A different color for every day of the week. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet." "Your words." I want to slap myself to see if I was dreaming. "Ethan, you lucky bastard. You hit the jackpot and didn't even remember it." She got up and left the room for a moment. Flustered, I dove under the covers, burying my face in pillows that smelled faintly of her perfume. With nothing else to do, I grabbed my phone. The wallpaper was a collage of pictures of Isabel. At work, laughing, reading. I opened my Instagram. 6 months ago, a lavish wedding at a 5-star hotel. And there were posts from me, the guy who never posted anything, gushing like a teenager. They say a wise man never falls in love. Well, call me a moron. Below it was a carousel of photos, wedding pictures, honeymoon candidates. Except in every single one, Isabel wore a frozen expression, like someone owed her $1,000,000. She was looking at me, in every shot the way you'd look at something you scraped off your shoe. The next post was from Valentine's Day. A picture of an elaborate dinner I'd clearly cooked myself. The caption, "My wife is so thoughtful. She knows I'm trying to bulk up, so she left all this for me." She hadn't come home. My birthday. A picture of me alone with a single cupcake and a candle. The caption, "You wouldn't understand. It's called tragic, epic love." My photo gallery was a shrine to Isabel. Pictures and videos. Some of them were clearly taken without her knowledge. From weird angles, it was full-blown stalker behavior. I was simultaneously disgusted and impressed. Just then, the door clicked open. I quickly shut off my phone as Isabel, now in a silk nightgown, slipped back into bed. She snuggled up behind me. "Ethan." Oomph. Women. If I hadn't seen my own phone, I might have fallen for it. The evidence was clear. Isabel Sterling didn't love me. She might even hate me. But with her warm and soft against my back, it was hard to care. "Honey," she whispered, "if you don't go to sleep soon, I might have to." Good Lord. Did she have a script for this? She must have felt me tense up because she giggled. "Relax. You just got out of the hospital. I won't do anything crazy." The problem wasn't her. The problem was whether I could control myself. I relaxed and lay back on the pillows. "Aren't you going to hold me?" she murmured. My shoulders went rigid again. "What?" "You hold me every night." Without waiting for an answer, she took my arm and tucked it under her neck, pulling herself close. "Well, I thought, I'm not the one losing out here. Might as well play along." "Honey," she whispered in the dark, her voice husky. "We haven't planted our strawberries for the day." I could practically see the mischievous glint in her eyes. Was this some kind of trap? Was she going to seduce me and then sue me? My mind started racing, trying to recall clauses from my college ethics textbook. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. With a will of iron, I managed to resist. "Sorry, I don't remember that. We can plant them when my memory comes back." The news of my amnesia reached my parents, and they rushed over the next morning. I'd barely slept, and I probably looked like death warmed over. The moment my mom saw me, she zeroed in on Isabel. "What did you do to my son?" "I'm so sorry. It was an accident, I swear." Isabel bowed her head, the picture of remorse. "It's all my fault. I wasn't taking good care of Ethan." She clutched my hand, her eyes welling up with tears. "I've already delegated my duties at the office. I'm going to stay home and take care of him full time." My dad frowned. "I thought you were in the middle of that big international merger. That's a time-sensitive project. Why don't we take Ethan home with us? You can visit whenever you have time." Isabel's grip on my hand tightened. She stepped partly in front of me, as if shielding me from them. "No, that's not negotiable. He's my husband, and I will take care of him." Her tone was steel. Then, as if realizing how harsh she sounded, she softened it. "Mom, Dad, don't worry. I got this." She turned back to me, her eyes pleading. "Honey, please stay home with me. Just keep me company. Don't go, okay?" By the end, her voice was a full-on girlish whine. In front of my parents. The cringe was real. My dad squinted at us. "Okay, since when are you two this?" "Clingy." My mom shot him a death glare and subtly stomped on his foot. "It's none of your business how a young couple acts." After a quick cup of coffee, my mom was already trying to hustle my dad out the door. As they were leaving, she pulled me aside. "You little rascal," she whispered, pinching my arm. "You just wanted to see your wife worry about you, didn't you? You cooked up this whole drama and scared your parents half to death. I swear, you kids and your games. You even made your parents part of your little psychodrama." My brain short-circuited. "No, Mom, I really lost my memory." She twisted my ear. "Still acting for me? You want an Oscar or something?" I saw Isabel watching us from the doorway. I quickly ushered my mom into the car. "Dad, you got to get her off TikTok. She's more online than I am." As their car pulled away, another one arrived. A woman in a sharp business suit got out, carrying stacks of binders. I stood in the doorway of the home office like a stranger, watching them. "Hey," I said to Isabel, "you once told me you wanted a husband with business acumen. How'd you end up with me?" Isabel looked up from a mountain of paperwork, pushing a pair of black-framed glasses up her nose. "You might not remember, but right before we got engaged, you closed your art studio. You got an MBA with a focus on corporate finance. You're the chief financial officer of Sterling Industries. I didn't remember anything after the wedding, but I did remember that. To get Isabel's attention, I'd given up my art career. She slid a document across the desk toward me. Could I get our CFO to sign off on this? I picked it up. The title read, Project, Restore Ethan's Memory, a Comprehensive Checklist. I looked up. Behind the glasses, her eyes were dancing with suppressed laughter. Her assistant, the short-haired woman, looked completely baffled. Her jaw was hanging open as she stared her notoriously frosty boss. Was the Ice Queen joking? I tossed the papers back on the desk. Is this funny to you? You're just going to mess with me because I have amnesia. The smile vanished from Isabel's face, replaced by instant panic. No, I'm sorry, Ethan. I didn't mean it like that, really. The assistant's eyes widened even further. She looked like her boss had just been replaced by a body snatcher. Isabel rushed over and grabbed my arm. I am sorry. It's just, you look so cute when you're all confused. I couldn't resist teasing you. I'll never do it again. The assistant's jaw officially hit the floor. Isabel finally noticed her. Her expression snapped back to its default icy setting. I'll review these documents later. I have important business to attend to with my husband. You can go. The sudden shift in aura was so powerful it froze me in place, let alone the poor assistant. A workaholic like Isabel Sterling blowing off work? The office gossip blogs were going to have a field day with this. Later, Isabel said she was taking me to a secret place. We pulled up to a 3-story standalone building in Soho. This is the studio of a very famous artist, she said, her voice full of admiration. His work has sold for millions at Christie's. He's had several solo shows. She clearly knew him well. So, are we going inside? I asked. She nodded. I'd like to, but he's a very private person. His security system is state-of-the-art. I can't get in. I leaned in to look at the keypad, and a soft beep sounded. Access granted, a synthesized voice announced. I jumped back. What the? How did the door open? What do you think? Isabel was grinning at me. Well, I just stared, she added. You're the artist, Ethan. Okay, fine. She was beautiful. I let her have this one. I walked inside. The space was exactly as I'd left it. My old paintings were hung haphazardly on the walls. The main floor was filled with easels, paints, and brushes. The floor itself was a Jackson Pollock of spilled colors. This is definitely my place, I said, a smile spreading across my face. You got me. It's a nice surprise. Isabel leaned in close, her face inches from mine. Does that mean I get a thank you kiss? Without thinking, I gave her a quick peck on the cheek. Then another, and another. Her skin was so soft, it was like kissing a rose petal. She blinked, stunned for a second, before a deep blush spread across her face and down to her neck. She looked down, suddenly shy. Oh, she said, as if just remembering. A while ago, you donated a few paintings to a charity fund. The auction gala is tonight. The invitation is at the house. Sounded better than sitting around. I told her I was going. She immediately offered to come with me, but I shut her down. The rumor mill was already convinced our marriage was a sham. The last thing I needed was for her to show up and run into some college sweetheart, playing out a soap opera scene right in front of me. No thanks. By the time I got home, it was early evening. Isabel insisted on helping me get dressed, tie my tie with practiced ease. You know, she said, smoothing down the lapels of my tuxedo, this suit would go perfectly with the dress I was planning to wear. Nice try. I pretended I didn't hear her. With her goddess-like look poured into a red dress, being all sweet and attentive, I smelled a trap. She was planning something for that gala. I just knew it. I arrived at the venue alone. It was a high-end affair. I recognized a few tech billionaires I'd only ever seen on the news. I grabbed a drink and tried to look inconspicuous, only to overhear them gossiping about me. Looks like Ethan the Simp is flying solo again tonight. Give the guy a break. You really think a woman like Isabel Sterling would ever actually be into him? Seriously, a goddess like that deserves one of us. I turned my back to them, munching on some cashews. Listening to them talk trash was surprisingly entertaining. Suddenly, a commotion at the entrance. A new arrival had captured everyone's attention. It's Isabel Sterling, the CEO of Sterling Industries. The group of billionaires immediately swarmed her like moths to a flame. A reporter with a microphone was the first to reach her. Ms. Sterling, good to see you. The gala started a while ago. What kept you? Isabel's face fell, a perfect mask of sorrow. My husband said he didn't need me to come with him. 100 pairs of eyes swiveled to stare at me with open hostility. Then they all turned back to her. Are you serious? Why would he do something so horrible? Isabel frowned, looking utterly pitiful. I don't know. Then, as if a terrible thought just occurred to her, she added, maybe he thinks a wife like me is embarrassing to have around. The crowd erupted in a low murmur of outrage. Standing right in front of her, they began to verbally tear me to shreds, finally concluding that I must be face-blind not to recognize my own wife's beauty. When she judged the timing to be perfect, Isabel gracefully excused herself and walked over to me. Honey, she purred, linking her arm in mine. You're not mad that I came, are you? Damn, she was a master. With one move, she'd publicly quashed the rumors of our unhappy marriage and painted me as the villain. From now on, any problem in our relationship was my fault. The auction started. My paintings, which I always thought were just okay, were being bid up to insane prices by those same billionaires who'd been bad-mouthing me moments before. Then, Isabel started bidding, relentlessly driving the price up and winning every single piece. I grabbed her hand. What are you doing? I like these paintings, she said calmly. And as an entrepreneur, it's important to give back to the community. She paused, a sly smile playing on her lips. Unless, are you worried about me spending all your money, honey? I snorted. My art is meant for people who truly appreciate it. A kindred spirit. I appreciate your art more than anyone, she whispered. I'm your kindred spirit. Yeah, right. Tell that to someone who'll believe it. Ethan, listen to me. Before she could finish, the auctioneer's voice boomed from the stage. $5 million sold. While I was bickering with Isabel, my last painting had been sold to someone else. Everyone applauded the generous buyer. I followed their gaze to a young woman in a pale evening gown who looked like a princess straight out of a fairy tale. She stood up, tall and graceful, and walked toward us, right up to me. And before I could react, she leaned in and gave me a light kiss on the cheek. Darling, she said, it's so good to see you again. It took me a second to process. It was Chloe Vance, a girl I'd known when I was studying abroad. The entire room was silent. The host, quick on his feet, grabbed the microphone. Let's give a huge round of applause to Ms. Chloe Vance for her incredible generosity. Chloe sat down in the empty chair on my other side, completely ignoring the daggers Isabel was staring at her. She took my hand and kissed the back of it. I have so much to tell you. Can we go somewhere private? I glanced from the stunning, elegant woman on my right to the ethereal beauty on my left. The auction's not over, I stammered. It wouldn't be right to leave. Isabel straightened up, composing her features into a mask of magnanimity. Honey, you do whatever you want. I'll be fine here. As I set up to leave with Chloe, I felt a tug on my jacket. I looked back. Isabel was holding the corner of my coat, looking up at me like a lost puppy. Will you be home tonight? Of course, I said without thinking. Her face instantly brightened. Okay, I'll come pick you up when you two are done talking. Watching her act so pathetic, it felt weird. It was like watching a loyal puppy waiting for its master. Chloe took me to what she called the old spot. It was a 24-hour diner in a sketchy part of town. The owner and the other patrons stared as a woman in a designer ball gown pulled up in a Ferrari to eat greasy burgers. I heard you had amnesia, she said, taking a huge bite of her burger. I got on the first flight from Europe. I gave her a thumbs up. You're a real one, Chloe. My best bro. She washed down her food with a swig of beer. I remember Isabel being horrible to you. She was always giving you the cold shoulder. I nodded. Yeah, I'm starting to piece that together. Don't worry, I'm on my guard. I glanced at her Ferrari parked outside. Wait a minute. You're loaded. Why were you always bumming food off me in college like you were homeless? Chloe rolled her eyes. Dude, my stockings are custom-made. Don't you ever pay attention to labels? Honestly, I was usually too busy admiring the letters of the alphabet to check the brand. Just as we were getting into it, my phone rang. It was Isabel, her voice small and timid. Honey, you've been gone for a while. Is it okay if I come pick you up now? Suddenly, the phone was snatched from my hand. It was Chloe. Ethan's staying with me tonight. He's not coming home. There was a pause on the other end of the line. The temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Let me speak to my husband. Ah, husband? Chloe sneered. You throw that word around a lot for someone who never actually got him to sign a marriage certificate, don't you? I froze. Was that true? Chloe pressed on, her voice merciless. I checked. Your families arranged a merger, but you never made it legal. Ethan didn't want to sign. He was worried you were after his assets. Then his father had a heart attack, and the family's shipping empire, which your company desperately needed, was transferred to him. That's when you suddenly decided you were in love, right? It was like a key turning in a lock. It all made sense. She was playing me, trying to trick me into signing the papers. I was after her beauty. She was after my inheritance. Chloe looked at me, her expression serious. Ethan, you need to stay sharp. Don't let a pretty face cloud your judgment. I thought of her in that gray lingerie, resisting that was going to be difficult. Just then, Isabel's Maybach screeched to a halt, boxing in the Ferrari. She got out and marched right up to our table. Honey, it's getting late, we should. I stood up, deliberately taking Chloe's hand. I'm staying with her tonight. I'm not coming home. A flash of raw pain crossed Isabel's face. She wrung her hands together. Okay, well, what do you want for breakfast? I can bring it over in the morning. The things people will do for money. To get her hands on my family's company, this woman was willing to endure anything. I started listing things off. Pancakes, bacon, black coffee. Make it 2, Chloe added, twisting the knife. Isabel's jaw clenched, but she forced a smile. See you in the morning, then. As her car disappeared around the corner, Chloe grinned at me. Come on, I have a place nearby. I woke up in the middle of the night in Chloe's guest room. As I stood in the bathroom, it happened. A tidal wave of memories crashed back into my brain. The sham wedding, my pathetic, year-long campaign to win her over. Sleeping in separate rooms. My text going unread. Celebrating my birthday and Valentine's Day alone. The countless times I'd told her I loved her, only to be met with deafening silence. And last night, I'd polished off an entire bottle of Cabernet, worked myself into a drunken rage, and decided to finally claim my husbandly rights. I'd ripped off my shirt, ready to pounce, only to slip on the damn wine bottle I'd just thrown on the floor. My head had connected with the solid oak headboard, and everything went black. When I finished processing the download, the sun was rising. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Isabel standing there, holding several paper bags, looking like a chastised schoolgirl. Chloe was still dead to the world, probably jet-lagged. Isabel put the food on the table and sat silently in a corner of the sofa. She looked exhausted, her eyes red-rimmed and puffy. What happened to you? I asked. You look terrible. I waited in the car downstairs, she mumbled. All night. I was floored. Why? You were with another woman. I was upset. I couldn't sleep. If my memory hadn't returned, I might have actually believed her. She was a hell of an actress. I decided to play along. Ms. Sterling, it's just us here. You could drop the act. Chloe told me everything. After the wedding, we had less of a relationship than I have with the Amazon delivery guy. What does she know? She's an outsider. Isabel insisted stubbornly. We have a great relationship. The kind where we go at it 7 nights a week. Huh. She was going to stick to this fantasy world, was she? Fine. 2 can play at that game. 7 nights a week. Right? I hadn't even held her hand before I knocked myself out. Her phone rang. She held it up for me to see. It's my mom, your mother-in-law. She put on speaker. A stern voice came through. Isabel, is Ethan with you? Isabel glanced at me and nodded. Yes, Mom. What's up? You two certainly made a splash at the gala last night. I think it's time you came for a visit. Isabel looked at me, asking for my opinion. Could I say no? It was my mother-in-law. So, after a quick breakfast, I left Chloe sleeping and got in the car with Isabel, bracing myself for the storm that was sure to come. Isabel must have sensed my anxiety. She patted my hand. Don't worry. My parents love you. It'll be fine. Yeah, right? I remembered at our wedding reception. They'd barely even looked at me. Isabel, I thought, let's see how long you can keep this lie going. When we arrived at the Sterling family estate, her parents were waiting for us on the front steps, beaming like we were long-lost relatives. Isabel squeezed my arm. See, she whispered. I told you they love you. I was completely bewildered. Was my family's small shipping company really worth this level of theatrical performance from 2 titans of industry? Lunch was a surreal experience. Her mom kept piling food onto my plate. Her dad kept refilling my wine glass. Isabel peeled shrimp for me. I felt like a condemned man eating his last meal. After lunch, Isabel, who I knew had never done a domestic chore in her life, started peeling an apple for me. She was butchering it, carving off huge chunks of fruit with the peel. On the second cut, she sliced her finger. Her mother rushed over with a first aid kit, but Isabel let the blood drip onto the floor. I only want my husband to bandage it. Her father chuckled. Well, I'll be. First time I've ever heard her call him that. His wife promptly clapped a hand over his mouth and dragged him out of the room. Sighing, I opened the kit and started cleaning the cut. Ouch, that stings. Be gentle, darling. I gritted my teeth. It's antiseptic. It's supposed to sting. Hold still. Kiss it and make it better. I was about to lose my mind. My phone rang. It was Chloe, finally awake. Ethan, where are you? Before I could answer, Isabel clutched her stomach, her face screwed up in pain. Honey, my stomach hurts. What now? I sighed. She leaned in close, speaking toward the phone. It's a CEO thing. Stress stomach. I need some Tums, and then my husband needs to rub my tummy. She grabbed my hand and pressed it to her abdomen. Oh, that's so much better. I hadn't even had a chance to react before Chloe exploded on the other end of the line. Isabel, you manipulative little. The line went dead. Isabel had hung up. She promptly curled up, resting her head in my lap. You're the best, honey. Let's go take a nap. I lay there, wide awake for the entire nap. When we got back to our house, I collapsed on the sofa. A few minutes later, I heard the shower start. Honey, my hand is injured. I can't. Could you come help me? Her voice was pure siren song. Was she really going to go through with this? This woman who was, for all intents and purposes, still a virgin? I gritted my teeth and walked into the bathroom. The room was thick with steam. My self-control, which had been holding on by a thread, snapped. Tell me again, I said, my voice hoarse as I walked toward her. We really do this? A lot. Isabel casually tucked a stray strand of wet hair behind her ear. Of course, we're in peak physical condition, 2.5 hours minimum. Well, if you put it that way. The next morning, I woke to the sun streaming through the windows. Isabel was propped up on one elbow, watching me. Ethan, she said softly, give me a real title. I played dumb. What title? We're already married. We're missing the certificate. Huh, there it was. The end game. I was trying to figure out how to call her out when she threw her arms around me. Let's go to the courthouse today. No prenup. I'll transfer all my assets into your name. If I'm ever anything but good to you, you can take everything and I'll walk away with nothing. What? This was not part of the script. And we can have kids whenever you want, she continued. Or if you want to focus on your art, we can wait a few years. If you don't want kids at all, I can live with that too. She buried her face in my shoulder, her voice muffled. I was completely dumbfounded. My expression must have been comical because she laughed. What's with that face? Why? I asked. Why would you do all this? She looked me straight in the eye, her gaze unwavering. Because I love you. Cut the crap, I said, my voice flat. I got my memory back this morning. Isabel's face fell. She looked down, a wave of shame washing over her. When you got hurt, she began, her voice barely a whisper. The doctor said your amnesia might be psychological. A subconscious desire to forget how cold I'd been to you. I realized what a horrible mistake I'd made, and I wanted to fix it. I pretended we were madly in love, hoping it would help you. Remember the good things. Then your old flame showed up from Europe. Wait, old flame? What are you talking about? She glanced at me. I've been in love with you since high school. When you were studying in Europe, you had that big graduation exhibition. I flew over to see it, secretly, and I saw you with your arm around Chloe, calling her darling. I held up a hand. Hold on. Your parents didn't like me either. Isabel shook her head. They were just unhappy because they thought I was sacrificing myself for a business deal. They didn't want me to be in a loveless marriage. But I frowned, another piece of memory clicking into place. But what? But you came to our house. You got into a huge fight with them. You told them that you would only ever love me, and that Chloe was just a friend. I rubbed my forehead. Oh my God, Chloe's gay. Isabel. She doesn't like men. We were like brothers. She didn't want anyone to know her secret back then. Isabel stared at me, her mouth a perfect O of shock. All the anger I'd been holding on to just evaporated. I spent 6 months acting like a pathetic, lovesick loser, I said, trying to sound stern. What are you going to do to make it up to me? She threw her arms around my neck, her eyes shining. Anything, Ethan. I'll do anything. Whatever punishment you think is fair. I struggled to keep a straight face. Fine, your punishment is this. From now on, you have to be this passionate and on fire for me every single day. A slow, wicked grin spread across Isabel's face. She knelt on the bed, bowing dramatically. As my lord commands. Then she lunged,